What is up, guys? It's your boy Rick Kakis, and today, oh my goodness, I need some new lighting so I don't look so pale. It's the lighting, guys. I swear. It's not just because I lock myself in my basement and play Destiny 2 all day. I swear it's the lighting. Anyways, guys, Bungie has just released the brand new Dev Insights Renegades Armor Tuning Preview article. So this is going to go over all of the different exotic armor pieces that are getting either buffed or nerfed in the upcoming Renegades expansion. So we're going to get a preview of what the best new builds are going to be. And so, let's get started. All right, here. So beginning with, I guess they're doing worst to last. So we're starting here with the hunters. Okay, but first of all, we have the Graviton Forfeit. The Graviton Forfeit was once a workhorse in Exotic in Destiny 1, but has struggled to find value in Destiny 2, especially after the Void 3.0 rework. With how abundant access to invisibility is nowadays, we've shifted this exotic into a killstreak / invis streak exotic that charges up your neutral game as you fade in and out of invisibility. So it now grants improved grenade, melee, and class ability recharge rates for a moderate duration each time you become invisible. The effect stacks up to 3 times, and the effect time does not deplete while you are invisible. At 3 stacks of the buff, successive triggers additionally grant a portion of a Void Overshield. So that is actually quite interesting, right? Like if you think about just being able to put on the Void aspect where do a class ability, go invisible, but every time you shoot, you're breaking out of invisibility. This would play into that very well because especially you're getting more class ability recharge with the Graviton Forfeit. So if you're just spamming your class ability again and again and again, constantly going invisible, just spamming your grenades and melee now could actually be pretty decent. And invisibility is fantastic. And you know, in higher level content and stuff, always nice to have an invis hunter getting the res on the Titan that got a little too overzealous with the melees. You know what I'm talking about. All right, now after that, guys, the Omnioculus. So they say, given the success of other more support-centric exotics, we are leaning Omnioculus into a more potent support role to allow hunters to fill in a bit of that more selfless fireteam role. A selfless hunter? Never heard of him, but granting the effects of Beyond the Veil to allies now also starts their health and shield regen. This only applies to allies and not the hunter themselves. Shax is watching. Potentially being able to throw smokes at allies, instantly start regen. Also, you're going to apply that Omnioculus damage resistance. Could actually unironically be quite good in that support role. Then for the Lucky Raspberry, yeah, nobody's using this thing, dude. The Lucky Raspberry and Arc Bolt grenades, for that matter, have been out of the limelight for a long while now due to their general slowness and low damage. We've done a pass over both Arc Bolt grenade itself and the Lucky Raspberry to help with their some of their consistency issues, as well as bring them into today's build crafting options. So with Arc Bolt grenade, this is going to apply whether you have Lucky Raspberry or not. They've increased the projectile lifetime of chain projectile. Jeez. This helps hit consistency on moving targets that are near the outer edge of the chain range. Now activates 0.1 seconds faster after the initial sensor sweep from 0.6 seconds to 0.5 seconds. They've increased the max chain range of the initial chain from 7 meters to 10 meters. That's a significant increase in the radius. Now for the exotic armor, now always applies Jolt on Arc Bolt grenade hits, so you won't need that fragment that makes your arc grenades jolt. Returns Arc Bolt energy on any application of the Jolt debuff or triggering the Jolt chains on a target already affected by the debuff. That's actually huge. That last part is actually huge because it means I can use jolting feedback. I can use anything that causes a jolt for my weapons, And now I'm going to trigger my grenade regen while using the Lucky Raspberry. So I can like build into jolting. There's a lot of things that will jolt now in the game. And that actually is kind of like a fun thing to build craft around, certainly, guys. Moving on from there, the Orpheus rig. So alongside some ability changes coming in Renegades, we've also adjusted how Orpheus rig benefits Shadow Shot. Look forward to more on abilities in our upcoming Dev Insights article, so maybe that's going to be like next week they're going to release that. Increased super duration from 16 seconds to 20 seconds. Dude, some people still use Orpheus rig. It's still a good exotic in a lot of cases, and 4 more seconds of your Shadow Shot lasting is actually kind of a big deal, right? 4 more seconds of a weaken effect on a boss. Then the Gemini Jesters. As mentioned in our Renegades weapon tuning article, Gemini Jester has been updated to use the new Universal Disorient verb. To keep the debuff effects versus players as similar as possible, we gave it some adjustments that should help it feel nearly identical to how it was prior, if not slightly more effective. We also gave it a small bump in duration against PvE combatants. So, increased disorient duration against players from 0.5 seconds to 1 second, so literally doubling. In addition to applying disorient, misdirection also removes opposing players' HUD for 2 seconds. Increased disorient duration against PvE combatants from 2 seconds to 3 seconds. Very interesting, actually. Removing the HUD is actually really interesting. Moving on from there. All right. Now we got to the good part of the article, Titan exotics, baby. First of all, the Arbor Warden. The Arbor Warden hasn't managed to find much of a niche since its introduction to the game. We've made some changes that will let players more aggressively claim space using the Renegades with good planning. So, picking up 3 Orbs of Power enhances your next Renegade. Enhanced Renegade spawns a Y pattern of 3 of your equipped barricades on Renegade detonation? Hey, yo. And then this does work with barricade modifications like Dranger's Lash or Storm's Keep. Okay, hold on a second. If I pick up 3 Orbs of Power, I throw my Arbor Warden special grenade, I get a Y pattern, so I have like 2 barricades here and 1 here, I guess, and all of them shoot out a Dranger's Lash? Dude. What the heck? Like, that's kind of crazy. I mean, that's essentially going to be like an offensive capability with the towering barricade, because that really hurts you when you go through. Dude, if you're chucking a Y pattern of 3 towering barricades, you're basically gonna like trap people, right? Like, where are they gonna go, dude? They're gonna end up walking through and basically dying in PvP. In PvE, I mean, like, deploy the Omega Storm's Keep. Dude, that's not a Storm's Keep. That's a Storm's Stronghold at that point. Like, that's actually really crazy. Now, could this all just be super gimmicky? Is it actually going to be good? I really don't know. But, oh my goodness, throwing a grenade that turns into 3 barricades is just like, I can't even comprehend what that's going to look like. Like, we've never had anything like this in the game. So, moving on from there. Dune Marchers. So they've always been a strong choice in the Crucible, but have not had much of a home in PvE. With the introduction of Bolt Charge and Storm's Keep in recent releases, we wanted to expand access to Bolt Charge to other thematically appropriate sources, and Dune Marchers were a perfect fit. So, increased maximum chain count from 4 to 7. Each chain hit now grants 2 Bolt Charge stacks, 3 with the fragment. Glaive melees can now trigger the chain. So that's a lot of Dune Marchers chaining, a lot of that extra electrical damage going through tons of PvE enemies, and now having that glaive synergy as well is quite interesting. Moving on from there, Ursa Furiosa. We're making some lighter quality of life improvements to bug fixes to Ursa Furiosa. In particular, the difficulty of an activity scaled how much each absorbed attack scaled the super refund, but not the grenade refund, which made that part of the perk feel weaker in easier content. Makes sense, like you're taking less damage from a drag shooting you in lower level content. So, should now properly gain super energy if damage is blocked while the player has an overshield. Super energy stored is no longer scaled based on the enemy difficulty. Super energy refund meter fill rate is doubled at power activities. Super energy refund meter fill rate is buffed by about 13.6% in -40 power activities. All right. So, if you're a bad player like Mactix, dude, you're playing low-level content, you're gonna love this, man. Moving on from there. So, I'm just kidding, I love Mactix. Second chance. Okay, in activities without barrier champions, second chance has been a bit lackluster. You can say that again. While a second charge of shield throw and applying weaken is somewhat powerful, Sentinel Titan does not have much access to melee energy generation, so it struggles to get much value out of either effect. We're giving it a new lease on life with a shield throw centric gameplay loop that doubles down on the Righteous Defender fantasy. So here's what they've added. Spawns void breaches on shield throw final blows. Grants shield throw melee energy on picking up any void breach. So already this makes a big difference because this is not the only way to spawn void breaches. You have fragments that are going to much more often spawn void breaches, so you can really spec into that and be getting a ton of melee energy. Additionally, the Sentinel Shield Super's ranged attack, so shield throw, now also weakens with this exotic equipped, and fixed a bug where anti-barrier shield throw melee would not bounce to more than 2 targets. Could be an interesting one for sure. You know, like, how good is it really going to be? So we'll have to wait and see. We'll have to wait and see for sure. But these are some big changes to just consistently be getting your shield back if you're spawning a lot of void breaches. Then, for the Armamentarium, which is like, dude, a pet favorite of mine for sure. So, while a second grenade charge is somewhat powerful, somewhat Bungie, it's pretty good. It's hard to justify choosing Armamentarium over an exotic that gives ability energy in today's sandbox. Alright, you got me. That is true. Everyone's using Hoyle over Armamentarium because you're basically getting your grenades fast twice as back. Grenades back twice as fast anyways using Hoyle. We're adding another ability to it that's focused on the armaments and ordnance fantasy that the exotic suggests. So, it now grants 10% grenade energy on weapon final blow, and now reloads the player's equipped weapon while using a grenade ability. This is surprisingly powerful. Like, this means that, you know, all the incredibly good weapons I'm using, and you don't have to have Demolitionist now. I'm using, you know, Mint Retrograde and slaying out with it, right? And now I'm granting a ton of grenade energy to myself. And so now you have 2 grenades and you have a source of massively increased grenade regen by just getting weapon kills, and you're reloading those weapons every time you're throwing grenades. You could really be spamming grenades with the Armamentarium with this change, guys. Then the Lion Rampants. Given the current state of mobility in the sandbox, we thought that the Lion Rampants restriction to only allow hipfire shooting while in lift is no longer necessary. Fly free, fellow Titans. Now allows shooting in ADS while in lift. You know those PvP games where you get killed and it's those Warlocks with the Wings of Sacred Dawn, and you're like, bro, like... Well, now there's going to be Titans doing the exact same thing, so I don't know about that. Okay, moving on from there. Oh boy, the Peacekeepers. We wanted to equalize the Peacekeepers mobility bonus with other exotics and mods that grant increase to mobility. We also accidentally removed a fan favorite hidden interaction from this exotic when we corrected an audio issue during the Edge of Fate, so we have re-added this interaction. So, Increased mobility bonus from 25 to 30. Re-added ability to swap load SMGs. But I honestly thought it was going to be a nerf when I saw the word Peacekeepers, because this thing is cooking raid bosses and is good in PvP, but it's even better. Oh my gosh. Warlock exotics. The Nothing Manacles. Before I even read it, straight up, no reason to use the Nothing Manacles with the massive buff to now the Controverse Hold exotic, because you get 2 scatter grenades with the aspect now in Void. Anyways, Charged and Nothing Manacles enhanced scatter grenades have been in an awkward spot for some time due to how much slower they deal damage in comparison to the base grenade. We've made some adjustments alongside those made in 9.1.5 to alleviate some of these inconsistencies. Additionally, Nothing Manacles has gotten a new perk that lets you cascade your scatter grenades and grant some deserved value when paired with Chaos Accelerant. So, reminder of the adjustments and changes to charged scatter grenades. So this is like if you use Chaos Accelerant here, charged grenade now creates 4 more seekers, increased charged grenade damage versus combatants by 25%, improved charge seeker tracking versus combatants, and they've increased the charged seeker lifetime. I've actually seen people use the scatter grenades again with that other Warlock exotic with the Controverse Hold because of all of these changes. Like Controverse with scatter is really a good combo, but with the Nothing Manacles, which is supposed to be the scatter grenade exotic, charged scatter grenade ability, faster projectile speed, okay, exotic armor, now spawns additional scatter seekers on scatter grenade kill. This effect can chain. That is interesting. That is really interesting. You could potentially throw 1 grenade and just nuke an entire group of red bars, like chaining off of each other. So that could, I mean, we're gonna have to test that, but that could actually be really good. The Brer Binds. The Brer Binds enabled a fun, unique playstyle for the Void Warlock, but like many kill-oriented exotics, it struggles to scale into higher difficulty content. We've made some adjustments to help it build to its maximum benefit quicker and also give it a bit more value earlier in its gameplay loop. So, now needs fewer kills to max out the Brer Bind's Void Soul damage bonus, decreased to 4 from 6. Additionally, the Brer Bind's Void Soul now does more damage based on the amount of time it has been deployed on target, up to 30% more damage after 10 seconds. I think it's still going to be a niche exotic for sure, but if you do like this exotic, it is getting outright better. So, Storm Dancer's Brace. The potency of Storm Dancer's Brace is almost entirely tied to the power of Storm Trance itself. In the same way we have for some of the other super specific exotics, we've added a bit of a neutral play to Storm Dancers and also a bit of quality of life to its damage bonus to help it scale better in today's sandbox. So, while Storm Trance is equipped, it now grants Bolt Charge for arc ability hits when amplified. So you'll need to be amplified, but then if you throw your grenade and hit a bunch of enemies, you get a ton of Bolt Charge. Storm Trance damage bonus now builds on hits instead of kills, increasing max count to compensate. So it now needs 30 hits to cap. Top end damage bonus is unchanged. This does mean though that you're going to, on higher difficulty content, ramp it up way faster because it'll just have so many hits. I mean, it's not hard to get hits with Storm Trance, and then you'll be doing that max damage cap, and then you'll actually start to get kills, presumably, on that higher difficulty content. So, kind of an interesting one. Are you running an Arc Warlock with Storm Trance, though, on higher difficulty content? There's so much other amazing builds to run, I'm not exactly sure. Winter's Guile. So, Warlocks have had a much harder time scaling into melee-centric builds than both Titans, and Hunters, rather than updating Winter's Guile to essentially be the newer version of Worm God Caress. But for Warlocks, we decided on a more arcane twist. We ended up with a more Warlock flavored version of that, incentivizing smart build crafting on how you build and spend the new benefits. A bit more effort, but a very potent reward if you manage to reach Warlord's Rage. So, melee and finisher final blows grant bonus melee damage. Melee's final blows grant 1 stack. Finisher final blows grant 3 stacks. Max is 10 stacks for 4x melee damage. That's a big bonus, and that's 4x sounds multiplicative. They changed everything to additive. That sounds multiplicative. We'll see. Stacks are lost 1 at a time, lasts 4.5 seconds. Once you reach 10 stacks, immediately gain 1 melee charge and enter Warlord's Rage when you activate your melee ability. You have 10 seconds to activate the Warlord's Rage. So while in Warlord's Rage, gain dramatically increased melee regen speed, gain faster melee speed, melee damage bonus increased to 5x, lasts 10 seconds, lose all stacks once Warlord's Rage ends. So you're building up the stacks, you're getting a big melee damage bonus while using Winter's Guile, and then like when a bunch of enemies are spawning when you're in the fray, that's when you hit Warlord's Rage, you activate it on purpose, you gain this big dramatic increase to power, getting a ton of melees, and then hopefully you kill all the enemies because it will reset your melee stacks after this. Like, that's the important part. You activate Warlord's Rage and then you lose all your stacks and you start back at 0. So yeah, it's like, when do you choose to activate Warlord's Rage? Because of course you can avoid activating it by not getting that final melee off at 10 stacks. You can wait for it to go back down to 9, get another melee up to 10, wait a bit, wait that 4.5 seconds for it to decay, and then keep playing on that if you wanted to. Finally, actually no, not finally, there's 2 more Warlock exotics, guys. We have the Matadoxia. So, Warlocks have long asked for a super damage increasing exotic alongside the likes of Cuirass or Nighthawk. We believe that this is less interesting as an effect for a brand new exotic, and that we could instead offer this as a new piece of a pre-existing one. After all, what is Needlestorm if not a bunch of supercharged arcane needles? P.S. Look for more on Needlestorm in the upcoming Renegades abilities tuning article. So, hitting a target with 5 Needlestorm super projectiles will now also activate the Silotixis Suspending Burst. The burst caused by the super deals radically increased damage to all targets caught in the radius. This burst should allow Needlestorm to feel like a damage contender with the likes of Cuirass, Thundercrash? Dude, strand Warlocks as Thundercrash-esque, like super damage increasing, like, that's really interesting. That's really interesting. Moving on from there, guys, like, is it going to be like, all right, instead of 3, 2, 1 Thundercrash, 3, 2, 1 Needlestorm? I don't know, man. That's going to be pretty crazy, like whipping out the hot swap to Matadoxia on the Warlock in DPS phases. Finally, guys, Dawn Chorus. This one's a spoiler for next week's ability tuning article. We're buffing Solar Warlock's Daybreak super damage by 20% and letting Daybreak scorch targets by default. Essentially, we're shifting some of the Dawn Chorus's functionality into the base super. The end result is that Dawn Chorus plus Daybreak damage is being increased by 5%, and the combo will now allow you to cause ignitions with a single projectile. That's actually crazy. And with our new universal, exotic universal ornaments feature coming in Renegades, looking like a bug while doing this is now optional. So Daybreak plus Dawn Chorus damage increased by 5%, total Scorch stacks increased. Guys, like potentially this could be like a DPS exotic. If you are every single hit against a singular target, like ignition on top of all the damage the projectiles are doing, that's a lot of damage. Actually, that's a ton of damage. Guys, there you have it. That is it for the video. Overall, there's definitely some ones I'm excited for. Nothing Manacles could actually be good. Armamentarium could actually be decent. Second Chance. Arbor Warden sounds crazy, but also even like the Lucky Raspberry changes, Omnioculus. None of these necessarily sound like, oh my gosh, this is 100% going to be the new meta build. But man, there's so many interactions in terms of build crafting that you have, especially like there's all of these different abilities are also now potentially paired with new armor perks, like the new armor set bonuses. You could have some really cool combos here that I'm not even thinking of right now. So guys, that's it for the video. Hope you enjoyed and found this informative. If you did, please remember to help me out by simply rating and especially sharing this video. If you guys want to see more Destiny 2 content similar to this, don't be afraid to slap that subscribe button. If you want to get in touch with me and keep up to date with the latest channel activity, the best way is to follow me on Twitter at RickCacus. That is linked in the description down below. Again, I hope you enjoyed the video, and as always, have a good day.